You know that feeling at 2 a.m. where you're exhausted but your brain is still vibrating? It's a physical hum inside of your chest, like a low frequency current that just will not let you sleep. Society calls it anxiety. I personally call it torque, and today I'm gonna give you the manual. Think about it. From a young age, the system will try to quiet that part of you. School, parents, society, they're all geared towards making you manageable. They reward sitting still, coloring inside the lines, and not being disruptive. So when that intensity doesn't fit, the go-to solution is to often pathologize it, put you on medication, and try to sand down your edges so you fit into the neat little box. And this also carries right into the adult world. Imagine the specific torture of sitting in a slow corporate meeting, speakers droning on and everyone else is smiling and nodding at a 2% growth chart, but you feel like your skin's on fire because it's moving too slow. You can feel your leg bouncing under the table. It's almost like electric current with no ground. It just might feel like you're vibrating at a different frequency than everyone else in the room. And you aren't bored, you're starving for intensity. That isn't anxiety, that is torque with nowhere to go. It is literally a race car engine forced to sit in bumper to bumper traffic, and it feels like it's going to tear itself apart. The world is largely built for sedans, and you might be wired like a race car. And because most people don't know what to do with that, they try to convince you it's a problem. They call it a deficit or a disorder, or they might suggest you need to cure your obsessive tendencies. But honestly, you can't cure a fundamental part of your wiring. You can only aim it. And this is a secret I had to learn the hard way. My rock bottom was not a dramatic single event. It was literally a slow grind into nothingness. And there was a point where my own choices had nearly destroyed me and took my own life. And I really had nothing left to lose. Life really had no meaning, and I was empty and honestly deeply depressed. So obviously getting help was the first step, but the real change started afterwards when I began changing my environment and taking small deliberate actions. So when I first stopped using substances and wasting time, the silence was completely terrifying and I did not feel like a superhero. I felt bored and anxious. Without the constant chemical noise or digital distraction, all the things I've been running from were suddenly right there in the room with me. And that internal itch was completely unbearable. But then slowly, something started to shift over time. And this is what I call the void. It's a specific confusion of getting clean and focused. So when you first stop the chaos, you do not feel peace, you're gonna feel bored. And for people like us, boredom feels like death. You're going to the gym, you might be reading books, you're doing the work, but the adrenaline is gone and you might just feel flat. And this flatness is the most dangerous moment. It's a quiet emptiness where your brain screams at you that the old way was better, that at least you felt something. And this is the moment where you want to blow it all up and just feel the fire again, just to get a jolt of anything. And surviving this void is literally the first true test. I realized the frantic, clawing energy I now felt to improve my life. I didn't get rid of my obsessive drive, I just pointed it in a different direction. That's literally it. But I have to be very clear, this transfer process is not fun. And when you first aim that energy away from instant gratification and towards something slow and meaningful, it feels awful, and it's boring, it's tedious. And your brain, which is wired for a quick fix, will scream at you that this is completely pointless. You have to be willing to sit in that boredom, and which is really just peace that you're not used to yet. Your body hasn't adjusted yet, and you have to starve the old circuits and just patiently force the new ones to grow. And like I mentioned, this is where things can get really tricky, and the easiest way to stop one compulsion is to just simply swap it for another. Like, you can trade the bottle for the deadlift, the video game for the work grind, and for a while society will reward you for it. You can get called a hustler or a beast, but you know deep down that the underlying pattern hasn't really changed. So you found a more socially acceptable compulsion, that's about it. The core issue didn't disappear, just put on a business suit. And there's a scientific reason for this. Neuroscience will call it incentive salience. It's the difference between the dopamine of wanting versus the dopamine of liking. And for people like us, our brains are wired for the pursuit, the wanting, not the reward, the liking. This is why you can win the championship or close a multi-million-dollar deal and still feel completely empty 10 minutes later. You're wired for the hunt and not the feast. Once the animal is caught, your brain doesn't celebrate. It immediately scans the horizon for the next threat or the next hunt. And knowing this is the only way to stop the cycle. And this is the dopamine trap of the infinite horizon. Because for people like us, there is no finish line. The horizon just keeps moving further away. You thought making $1 million was the goal? The moment it hits your bank account, the new number in your head is now 10 million. You wanted to get in shape? Now you're researching amateur bodybuilding competitions or hopping on gear. The goalpost is never stationary. It is a phantom that you chase across an infinite field, and this is why you see champions who feel like failures and millionaires who are terrified of going broke. Their brain doesn't register the win, it only registers that the hunt is over and immediately demands another. and this creates the ultimate tragedy. We'll call it the ghost in the Ferrari. This is the guy who won the game by every external metric. He's got the car, the penthouse, the status, the perfect family, but he is a ghost at his own dinner table. He cannot sit through a meal with his wife and kids without compulsively checking his phone under the table, looking at stock prices or emails. He's physically present, but mentally absent, ghosting his own life basically, moment by moment. And the people who love him feel his emptiness. He is a phantom haunting the life he worked so hard to build. I don't know about you, I'm completely terrified of becoming this guy, because it is the loneliest victory in the world. It is a treadmill to burnout, and that's precisely why the dirty fuel audit is non-negotiable, which we'll get into. If you don't know why you're running, you will simply run until the engine seizes and the wheels fall off. I see this every single day at my job. Smart, high potential people who beat one destructive habit only to get consumed by another. They have a fundamental need for more, whether it's more drugs or more money. The object does not matter. The dopamine hit from a video game is now the dopamine hit from a new sale. Someone has a huge portfolio, but he's staring at the stock ticker at 2 a.m. just waiting for the next jolt of validation. And people will say that he won and he beat the game. But honestly, his prize was nothing more than a bigger, more comfortable cage, where he is both the prisoner and the warden, feeling completely empty but with better scenery. And you may ask why? Because the root behavior is still there. No amount of external success will ever fill an internal hole. For context, I do work in substance abuse, and I've had a lot of sessions with a lot of people, and I've had people sit across from me who couldn't get off the needle, and I've had people sit across from me who couldn't get off the 80-hour work weeks. Literally, it was the same energy, the same engine, they were just pointed at two different things. I truly believe that restless, obsessive drive is a permanent part of your wiring, and you cannot change my mind on that. The game isn't about trying to weaken the engine at all. The game is about building better brakes and a steering wheel so you can finally drive the damn thing without crashing. This system is the balance, and this is the manual. I'll split this into 3 phases. So this is phase 1, which is active decompression. So your engine is designed to run and not sit in a garage. So the idea of just stopping can feel like a punishment. I know it does for me. That's why meditation often fails for people like us. So we need movement to process thought. This protocol is mandatory, scheduled, active silence. Go for a long walk with no phone, no podcasts, no music. Get sunlight in your eyes. The goal isn't to shut the brain down, it's just to give it the space to process everything that it's been furiously working on. But I will warn you, the first 10 minutes is usually hell. And this is the withdrawal, so the moment you step out the door without your headphones, your brain might panic. And the silence is not peaceful, it's a vacuum, and your mind will rush to fill it with noise. It will scan for a threat, and it will scream at you that this is inefficient, a waste of time. It'll replay an argument from 3 years ago or some shit, a mistake from a decade ago, a cringeworthy comment you made last week. It's all just a junk drawer of anxieties, regrets, and half-baked ideas spilling its contents all over the floor of your consciousness, simply because you've just stopped cramming more stuff in. Again, this is not boredom, this is detox, and your brain, which is begging for a fix of information, will beg for a distraction, and that panic is the addiction to chaos leaving your body. So keep walking or keep driving and just endure it, because on the other side of that withdrawal is clarity. This active silence is how you let the engine cool. It's not a break from the mission, it is a crucial part of it, and what you practice grows stronger. Like, that withdrawal phase does not last forever, and honestly, walking and going on a long drive has become a vital part of my schedule. But alright, so phase 2 is the tether. So obsession thrives in isolation. Like, it wants you alone where it can feed you the twisted logic, and to counteract this, you need a tether to reality. This is not about finding like a boring friend to study or anything. It's about finding a grounding connection with someone who values presence over progress. Find a friend who doesn't care about your business or your gym stats or your next big project. Schedule time with them and make one rule: you cannot talk about the grind. Your only job is to be present. That's it. And this might feel incredibly uncomfortable because it highlights the contrast between your operating systems. You might be vibrating at 100 miles per hour and they are just cruising at 30. And usually this infuriates you, and it did for me. But now you must look at their calmness as a superpower that you do not possess. And just watch them, like you're sitting across from them at a coffee shop, or you're out on a walk with them, and your legs bouncing and your mind already on the 3 things that you need to do next. Meanwhile, they're just there. They're tasting the coffee or watching people walk by, and they're content with the simplicity of the moment. And so to you, that might feel alien. I know it did for me, and it felt almost foolish. Your mind screams that this is wasted time. You're trying to optimize everything, and you'll feel a powerful urge to hijack the conversation, to report on your latest wins, or to turn this moment of connection into another performance review. I'm telling you, you must resist. Their ability to exist without optimizing is a skill that you're here to learn. They are your reality check, an anchor to the part of life that exists outside the chase. And they are your human anchor against a part of you that will always scream for more. Alright, so phase 3 is the dirty fuel audit, and that's what I mentioned earlier. This is a very important one. That high performance engine of yours is fueled by something. And for many of us, we might come to find that it's running on dirty fuel. So anger, insecurity, a deep-seated fear of being a failure, acting out of spite, you cannot outrun that shadow forever. It can get you started, but it's not going to keep you going. And eventually you have to turn around and face what's been chasing you. And this is where you look at the source code. You have to find a mechanic for your mind, basically, because you cannot be the judge of your own sanity. Just like me, you are a compromised witness. The resistance here is your own ego, and it will tell you that this is soft, a distraction from the real work. I'm telling you that it's lying. If you do not have access to a therapist, just start here tonight. Take out a piece of paper and answer this one question. Who am I trying to prove wrong? Write down the name. Is it a teacher who said you'd amount to nothing? A parent who never saw you? Was it an ex that underestimated you? A rival that you need to crush? Just be brutally honest. That name, that face, that might be the source of your dirty fuel. And if you're running on spite, you will eventually burn out the engine. I can promise you that. Because a fire built on hate consumes the vessel that contains it. The goal isn't to erase that person or the pain, but to see the fuel for what it really is. You must learn to convert that dirty fuel into clean ambition. So you're pulled by a future purpose, not just pushed by a past pain. Now, I can hear the objections already. I'm sure I'll get comments on it. But wait, isn't this just replacing one addiction with another? And the honest answer is no. That's the entire point. Swapping addictions is what we discussed earlier, and that's imbalance. This system is about building the capacity to choose your focus while also having the strength to disengage. One path is just finding a healthier obsession, and the other is just achieving true control and balance. And let's address the other fear in the room. Many of you might be terrified to do this work, to audit your fuel, to finally decompress, to find a tether, because you believe that your trauma is your superpower. You think your pain is your edge. You're scared that if you heal, if you find peace, you might lose your drive. You'll get soft. You'll become someone who is happy with average. I'm telling you, that is the most dangerous lie your ego will ever tell you. And let me be clear, peace doesn't make you slow. Drag makes you slow. Running from your past, being fueled by insecurity, that is a psychological drag, and it wastes energy, creates turbulence, and limits your top speed ultimately. Healing doesn't make you weak, it makes you aerodynamic, and it allows you to use 100% of your engine for forward momentum instead of wasting half of it on fighting yourself. And yes, you do get to choose your obsession, but you also build the discipline to step away from it, to rest, and to live a life outside of the chase. One will build a better cage and the other will give you the key. And you have to stop trying to kill this part of yourself because it doesn't die. That energy just finds a new outlet. Your job is to be the one who decides what that outlet is. This isn't about finding balance in the way that the world talks about it, some boring, lukewarm middle ground. For people wired like us, that kind of passive balance will always feel like a cage. So true balance isn't the ultimate form of control. It's dynamic in its strength. So imagine this, like you wake up and that nuclear reactor in your chest is already humming, but it's not the frantic buzz of anxiety anymore. It's a clean, powerful thrum of potential, and you can aim it. So for 4 hours, you pour that nuclear energy into your business, your art, your body of work. Uninterrupted, deep focus. The phone is off and the world does not exist, and it's just you and the mission. And then your timer goes off and you engage the brakes, you stop. The first moment of silence might be loud, but then it settles, and a deep peace you haven't felt in years can begin to surface. You can go for that walk, and this time there's no panic. It's just the engine cooling down like we talked about, and the thoughts process clearly, and you can sit with your friend and you're there, not planning, not optimizing, just being present. You can laugh about something that has nothing to do with your ambition, and you can feel the connection without the need to perform. You can go to sleep tired but peaceful. Your body can be exhausted but your mind is still quiet, and the hum is gone and it's been replaced by a profound stillness. But at the end of the day, you were still a Ferrari, but now you know where the brake pedal is. It's that simple. And that is the supercar driving at the speed limit because it chooses to, not because it's broken or out of fuel. And that's really the whole point. And what you practice grows stronger. And like I said, that restless energy is always there. It's just waiting for a job. So the choice every single day is just what you pointed at. Learning to keep it aimed at something productive through active decompression, grounding tethers, and auditing your own fuel source, that is mastery that can grow over time. And this trait is not a life sentence. I don't ever want you to think it's that. It's just a supercar you were born in, and you can finally learn how to drive it. Most of the world might tell you to calm down. I'm just telling you to learn how to aim it. If you made it this far, I appreciate you as always, and I hope this really resonated with you, and comment below about your experience with this and what this meant to you. If you agree or disagree, I'd love to hear it. I'm building this community for people who may feel lost and want to execute on something in their lives and eventually achieve their version of success, whatever that looks like to you. I want this to be a community of like-minded people who want to execute on their goals. So if you feel like you want to be a part of that, go ahead and subscribe and join the journey. I'll be documenting everything on this channel publicly. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all as always, and peace out.